going on, Straight Talk Disciples? I am your host, George McKay. I'm in the building. Here's my cohort in crime, Steve the Animal Mitchell.
Hello, Straight Talk Wrestling fans.
What's going on, guys? We are live. It's been
a minute.
It's been, the last time we went live, I think, was the Josh profile, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Back at the tail end of good old 2018.
We've been busy. We've been a couple of busy boys as of late.
It's been a whirlwind, man. We've just been interview after interview after interview. We'll run down the list a little later, but if you follow the Straight Talk pages, I'm sure most of you do, you will know that we have some kick-ass interviews coming up next couple of weeks. 4, in fact, which will run down at the tail end of the show. But today is a day that we've been talking about and promoting for a very long time, yet every time we went to do it, another interview popped up, but we had to just keep pushing it back.
We became the EC3 of interviewing. It was just interview after interview after interview after interview. But yeah, it's
and not
it's
one
cool.
of us does not have 3% body fat. The other one probably does, but one of us sure as hell does not. But yeah, no, it's been insane, the amount of great content that we have coming. The great indie wrestlers that took the time out to sit with us and chat with us. And don't forget, all our episodes, new and old, are still available on all our platforms. Most recent interview we did, which one we dropped last week, was Aiden Prince. That was an awesome one-on-one sit-down that I had to do with that. And then right after this episode, we're jumping into another interview, another one, and another one. And then after that, probably another one. We're working on locking down a couple more, so we should have a couple more in the can. But today is the Superstar profile we were supposed to do back in February.
Yep.
That's how long we've pushed this episode back. Today is my turn at the wheel, and I chose Marty SCURLL.
Yeah.
The villain. The man, the myth, the legend, the all-knowing, all-wise, all-seeing Seer of Saints.
Yes, and this is going to be really cool for a lot of people out there who we'll tie this in at the end of at the end of this profile of just these kind of a large topic of conversation these days of just what's going on with him. AEW, not so much, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Either way, Marty SCURLL, very, very trending topic of conversation these days in the wrestling world. So I think this is going to shed a lot of awesome light for people in that regard. But with all of that being said, George, take her away.
All right, so Marty SCURLL, another ring name he's been known by is Party Marty. That was back in the day when he first debuted, but now he's got a lot more edgy, a lot more cool. But Martin SCURLL was born July 26, 1988. Very young boy in the game. As we all know, he was born in, well, some of us know, some of us don't know, Littleport, Cambridgeshire, England. That's where he was born. He's currently signed to Ring of Honor, where he has been he's been the one-time Ring of Honor World Television Champion. He also does work for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he's a former IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. And he was also the Never Openweight 6-man Tag Team Champion from May 2017 to late October 2018. He was a member of the Bullet Club stable, but now that they've kind of, still kind of floating around, but majority of them have now signed and locked up everything with AEW. So he is kind of floating such into a way where he came out with Villain Enterprises, came out in full force. We got a clip later on the show that we'll play for that. They also splintered into the new faction, the Elite, which we all know. The latter left Ring of Honor at the end of 2008, and it led SCURLL to form a new stable with Ring of Honor's new signees, Brody King and PCO, called Villain Enterprises. They debuted in December, post-Final Battle television tapings. He's worked for the likes of PWG, which is Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, TNA, Total Nonstop Action, PW, Progress Wrestling, ICW, which is Insane Championship Wrestling, Global Force Wrestling, Revolution Pro Wrestling, Westside Extreme Wrestling, and Combat Zone Wrestling since 2008. He has wrestled alongside the likes of Zack Sabre Jr. as the leaders of the New School on the independent circuit from 2014 to 2015, and he was also one of the hosts of Wrestle Talk TV on Challenge. So we're going to break down pretty much his independent circuit stuff. So independent circuit is pretty much from his debut in February 2005 to the present. He was trained at Frank Reimer's Drop Kicks, that's Kicks with 2 X's, training school, which would also produce wrestlers like Darren Burbridge, Martin Stone, The Cartel, and Paul Robinson. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to check out The Cartel and Paul Robinson, but I did some research in doing this profile. These are guys that we want to watch for, man. They're on the radar. They're definitely coming up. They're very cool, very edgy, very much like SCURLL in that aspect. So if you like the edginess to them, if you like the badassery, then you will definitely dig the likes of The Cartel for sure. Marty made his debut for Drop Kicks at the Fondue Club in Purfleet, defeating Jimmy Starr by 2 falls to 1. Under the tutelage of John Ritchie, who by this time was in charge of dropkicks, Marty took part in dropkick shoot fighting tournament, the brainchild of John Ritchie himself. With 2 categories in place, middleweight and heavyweight. SCURLL would go on to win the middleweight tournament, in the process becoming dropkick's first middleweight champion. The heavyweight tournament was won by future WWE wrestler, well now former wrestler, Wade Barrett. Bad News Barrett. SCURLL also competed regularly for Summit Promotions, and at the end of the year, he formed the tag team with Paul Robertson as the Party Boys, which would, again, in turn, the Party Marty moniker would take place. Or they were also known as the Midnight Ravers, but I'm going to stick with the Party Boys. I dig it. SCURLL would go on to appear for Premier Promotions, and this would be the place where he would meet Phil Powers, who he ended up wrestling many times in the summer season and the holiday camp circuit. On July 16th, Marty wrestled his idol, Steve Gray, losing 2 falls to 1 in Summer Promotions in Raleigh, Essex. SCURLL was one of the 8 men entering the British Wrestling United's National Under-23s Championship Tournament. He met Strio in the first round of the match, went to a non-contest. SCURLL later received a shot at the eventual winner, Sam Slam, in 2007, but was defeated. During the rest of the year, SCURLL debuted for the likes of, again, IPW, UK, RQW, Wrestling. He also wrestled the likes of Johnny Storm, Taaji Ishimori, Bubblegum, and many others. On June 5th, 2007, he made his debut for All-Star Wrestling by defeating Jimmy Starr at Gravesend. He competed regularly for All-Star, including the main eventing Fairfield Hills against Pro Wrestling Noah's Shuhari Tanagachi and Toshimitsu Hanjiranji. I apologize if I'm not saying the names right. In IPW UK, Marty would reform his team with Zack Sabre Jr., but under the name the Leaders of the New School. Since then, they have feuded with Brit Rage. That's Mark Sloan and Wayne Fitzgerald. Again, another guy who I think is underrated is Wayne Fitzgerald. Like, in the great thing about these profiles is doing the research that we do. It gives us an opportunity to learn about the guys that are coming up or the guys that we may not be aware of. And when I checked out Wade Fitzgerald, it blew my mind. You gotta go check this dude out if you get a chance. If you don't already know him, you might, because you're a little bit more mixed in the indie in the worldly indie scene than I myself am. But yeah, this Wade Fitzgerald guy, he's something to watch, man. And again, as I mentioned, the Cartel, they wrestled these guys as well. Other wrestlers SCURLL found himself up against would have been Johnny Kidd, Robbie Dynamite, who's absolutely fantastic. The guy can move. Nick Aldis, which we already know they're running a program together as it stands right now. Andy Simmons, and Swiss Money Holding. SCURLL wrestled and lost to Doug Williams at IPW UK's British National Championship Tournament. Now we fast forward to 2009 on the indie scene. SCURLL and Sabre focused their attention on the tag team division. They picked up a very memorable win against the tag team champions at the time, the Thrillers, which is Mark Haskins and Joel Redman. Joel Redman is another guy, much like Wade Fitzgerald, who, if you just like everything that British Strong Style is about, these are the guys you want to get behind. Picture the same height and build of a Trent Seven, if you will, Max with just pure violence. Like, it's just to the nines, this one dude, man. He is just absolutely spectacular. During the company's February tour, a highly anticipated rematch finally took place between the teams in 2009 in Sitting Burn Spectacular after the leaders' scheduled opponents had to pull out due to injury. This time, the championships were on the line, and the leaders won, and they claimed their first championship gold at IPW UK. The match was considered Match of the Year candidate. I did watch the match. It is available on YouTube in its entirety. Check it out. The feud between the leaders and the Thrillers became the dominant storyline through the summer, culminating in the leaders winning a tables, ladders, and chair match against their rivals in September. Again, available on YouTube. Check it out. You want to talk TLC matches like the WWE used to do, but upped with like a stick of dynamite and a bottle of Jack Daniels?
Yeah. Watch
this match.
Couldn't have described it better.
The leaders have enjoyed an unbroken reign of championships since that time. SCURLL and Sabre competed in their first match for the newly relaunched Frontier Wrestling Alliance in August 2009, beating Northern Exposure at New Frontiers. The feud between these two teams would continue for the next several months, with NX eventually sealing a 2-1 victory in the best-of-3 series after defeating the leaders at British Uproar. In 2010, that's when that happened. Since then, SCURLL and Sabre have entered into the promotion's tag team tournament, qualifying for the semifinals after defeating Project Ego at the Art of War. Again, Project Ego, another team, check out. Like a lot of this stuff, the great thing, again, like I said, the great thing about doing the research that we do and the profiles and the time we put in, people just think we print this stuff off Wikipedia because they probably look at the videos and they see us reading it off.
Well,
no.
Unfortunately, that's what a lot of people do.
That is what a lot of people do, but it's also, and you know what, I stand by my statement that Wikipedia, for the most part, is very on point with their information. And the great thing about Wikipedia is it gives you the meat and potatoes. You don't have to sift through a whole lot. It gives you exactly what you're looking for in terms of a lot of this stuff, and then you can do the rest of the research on your own. It mentions matches, it mentions things you should be highlighting, and when you go back and you watch these matches, you can understand why they're on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
that damn good.
And straight up, the lost art of what people think or what they think they are of journalists. When you got to go out and you got to go do your research. You can't just read a name and then just be like, hey, so I'm just going to read this and hope for the best and hope that I describe this person exactly the way they are. You got to research them first before you describe them, people.
Yeah, you can't just go out there and just throw it out in the wind. Be like, hey, look at me. I'm going to do my stuff. So we're going to fast forward now to 2012, where SCURLL defeated Sami Callihan in the final of the 8-man tournament to determine the new British Cruiserweight champion. And on March 15, 2014, he defeated Colt Cabana in a 30-minute Iron match, available on YouTube. Fantastic match as well. That was to become the first Revolution Pro Wrestling undisputed British heavyweight champion. Try saying that 10 times fast.
Right?
A very long title name. Okay?
It's very, very long.
Very long. He would go on to successfully defend the championship against the likes of Ricochet. Great match. Kevin Steen. My heart's a flutter. Martin Stone, Davey Richards, Doug Williams, Shelton Benjamin, which was an epic match that's available on YouTube, Rocky Romero, and others before losing the title to the New Japan Pro Wrestling import, AJ Styles, in the summer of 2015 at the Summer Sizzler event. That's also available on YouTube, and man, even though he lost that match, he won.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
I like what you did there.
You get that, right? Even though he lost, he still won. Still won.
You don't have to be Ricky Bobby all the time. You don't have to be first to be last.
Yeah, you don't got to be first to be last. It's 100% right. I agree with that format 100%. That's actually one of the few lines of that movie that actually resonates with me. The whole movie's garbage, but that one line does stick out to me.
Remember, if you're not first, you're last.
And then he kind of shifted over for a bit on the indie scene. He debuted for Scotland's, my hometown. I shouldn't say my hometown is bordered Canada, but I am half Scottish. I am half Scottish. I'm very proud to be half Scottish.
I'll let you re-answer that.
Everyone's going to be like, I didn't know the host was from Scotland. I'm not. I was born Toronto, Ontario, Canada, but my dad is Scottish. I'm very proud. I'm very proud to rep my Scottish roots, okay? I got roots in the old Scotland, the Highlands. Arr. I don't know why I growled there. I'm going to watch Braveheart later and get all excited.
You're going to watch Braveheart and Stalker later and get super excited.
Yeah, it's good. I'm going to sit there with a beer and just be like, Har. I am William Wallace. All right. So
I love mid football.
I love mid football. So he premiered for Insane Championship Wrestling promotion in late 2014, unsuccessfully challenging Kenny Williams for the ICW 0G Championship before continuing to appear for the promotion in 2015. Culminating in the main event non-title loss to the reigning, defending champion at the time, Drew Galloway. SCURLL scored his first win in ICW in a four-way match against Noam Dar, Jack Gallagher, and Dan Maloney. On April 4, 2015, at a sold-out British Championship Wrestling event in Scotland, he challenged Galloway in a double title match for both the Evolve World Championship and the DG USA Open the Freedom Gate Champion. And there's title reigns out there. Their names are very long for their championships, man. But was defeated. In October 2015, SCURLL debuted for Global Force Wrestling in their UK invasion, losing to GFW Global Champion Nick Aldis in a singles match, and teaming up with Rampage Brown in a losing effect against Doug Williams and Aldis. SCURLL returned to the company in March 2016, unsuccessfully challenging Sanjay Dutt for the GFW NEX